How long do we have until seasonal discovery ends? Now, we are probably gonna know the actual answer very soon, but that doesn't stop me from telling you because I'm pretty sure I know the answer. And you know what? Warcraft Direct is coming on November 13th, and if you think I got it wrong, you can just come back here after a couple days and tell me that I am stupid and I gotta go back to kissing men or whatever you think I do on the weekends. I need new hobbies. I pull up this graph every video because I think it's important to show you the perspective of Blizzard when they are making a decision. If you know anything about Blizzard, I even made a video on it, is that nothing ever goes to plan. If you wanna figure out what Blizzard is gonna do not look at what they say, look at the results they get. Anyway, this is the population of Sod. This bump right here is phase 1, of course. This bump right here is phase 2. This is phase 3. The game freaking dies because they abandoned us for as long as phase 1 and 2 combined. Phase 4 and 5, I mean. And this is phase 4, little bumping here. And this is phase 5. It is slowly growing because people are making more and more alts because it is easier to make alts. What you gotta keep in mind, and the purpose of pulling this up, is that we are at 88,000 people right now, and this is counting alts, so it is even less people that actually raid compared to the insane 500,000 we used to have. Now, I think that Blizzard still has enough of a player base in Salt to justify some content, and they can still turn a reasonable profit out of this if they are well efficiently managed. The problem is that Blizzard is not efficiently managed, and reasonable profit margins are not enough. Let's actually pull up some numbers here. Assuming every one of those 88,500 players are real people that are not alts, because there is always gonna be alts, they pay $15 a month, assuming no regional prices. They got rid of my regional prices, but there are still some regional prices out there, so it could be a little less. They are pulling $1,327,000 a month. Of course, it is not that simple because this doesn't include payment processing costs. It depends, but very likely it is at least 50 cents every $15. That's a clean 3% that goes away right there. That doesn't include taxes, of course. That's gonna be at least 10%. It's probably more, but let's say 10%. We are talking about $1,100,000 a month, and that is not counting server costs, which are very significant, and that is not counting, for example, how many people play SOD and other game. How do you quantify that? How many people that play Seasonal Discovery just because they have a subscription also play Retail or Cataclysm? Do you do 50-50? Do you say that Seasonal Discovery is not generating any net income? You could go it a lot of ways. Not to mention the people that pay for 12 months ahead of time and they get a discount and stuff like that. Let's say, for the sake of argument, that about 30% of your budget goes to development, because once again, you gotta pay for the servers, you gotta pay for not necessarily development, you gotta pay for the lawyers, you gotta pay for HR. There is a lot of costs that go with making a game of this size. We're talking $347,000. Let's say everybody at Blizzard is making, I don't know, $100,000. A lot of them are not. Blizzard pays their employees like slaves. Last thing I heard about is that a game designer in Blizzard is making $200,000. For California money and for being like at such a high level, that's absolutely nothing. That's a pittance. But let's say they pay them fairly. Let's say they give them like $150,000 a year, which is ridiculous. They don't. $12,500 minus. And once again, I am being grossly overestimating what they pay them. That's a team of 27 people they can justify with these numbers. Now, this is a number I want to show you for another video because I heard very concerning arguments that Classic Plus is not sustainable without a cash shop, and even on the lowest Seasonal Discovery has ever been, we are still talking about 30 people that can work on Seasonal Discovery alone. I guarantee you there is not 30 people working on Seasonal Discovery right now. And I also guarantee you that 3 Russian teenagers can probably produce more content and better quality than they do. However, as I said before, we sadly do not live in a world where being a solid business is enough for them, so we are not gonna be there. And my prediction is that Blizzard wants to accelerate the end of Seasonal Discovery as fast as possible so they can move us on to something else. Could that be Classic Plus? Yes, I think it is, because this original peak in here, 500,000 players, that is as big as Classic WoW was at the launch, okay? I do not see a universe where this thing is not something they want to pursue again and see another way to maximize the profits, because 500,000 people, that is big numbers, even for Blizzard. Now, if we look at the phase releases here, phase 1 lasted 70 days. Phase 2 went from February 8 to April 4th. That is 57 days. That is a lot shorter. I think that's the main reason that they eventually delayed Phase 3 a lot more, because they kind of squeezed their content too thin at the start. Phase 3 lasted, and this is gonna drive up the averages a lot, from April 4th to July 11th. It doesn't sound like a lot. Okay, let's look at this. That is 98 days. Phase 4 actually is gonna feel a lot longer because they had the staggered releases of first you level, then you do the world bosses next week, and the next week is the raids. They did a good job staggering it out. I thought it was a great thing to get the most out of a content patch. I cannot judge them for that. That's a good idea. It lasted 77 days. And of course, we got the launch of Phase 6 already. We know that it's going to be November 21, very soon. That is going to only be 56 days. So it took us almost exactly a year to get to where we are, 358 days. That's from Phase 1 to Phase 6, that's Anquirage. There is a lot of ways you can see this. For example, if we average it out, we know there is 6 phases, right? We divide it by 6. That's about 59, 60 days, 2 months per phase. Pretty fast in average, I gotta say. And if we take that logic, which I think is pretty airtight, they seem to stick to the more or less 2 months rule, probably a little more. I would say 70 days is probably where we're at right now. I would say we're probably 70 days away from Phase 6 to Phase 7. And that would take us exactly into Nax Ramas, which is most likely to just be more Season of Mastery Nax Ramas. They are just gonna copy paste it again. That's basically all we got for Phase 6. And now is where the question actually is a variable. That's something we gotta talk about. That's something we gotta think about. That's the question we don't wanna ask. Is it how much of a rock pool is gonna be seasonal discovery? Are we getting 0 new content? Are they gonna walk back on it like they always do? Are they gonna just run away with our money again? I am not gonna put past Blizzard to just steal our money and do not release any new content and just say, YOLO guys, we didn't mean to say that. It was all the situation changed. It was taken out of context. I'm sorry. Classic Plus is not gonna be a scam though, just get ready for that. I wouldn't put it past them that they would do that. But, and this is what I'm gonna assume, I am gonna assume they are smart. Mainly because I freaking have to. And if I am Blizzard, if I were them, and I had to make sure to get rid of Seasonal Discovery as fast as possible, but at the same time, I wanna spend very little resources on it, and at the same time, I wanna get the least people mad for abandoning SOD as possible. What do? I make one little crappy raid, most likely if I were them, because they showed it at the demo at the announcement in BlizzCon, I would just take Karazhan from TBC, put level 60 mobs on it, and call it a day. That's what I would do. No map design, no expensive modeling work. Take the Karazhan from TBC, put a couple bosses on it, and you're done. That's it. And I am gonna roll with it, even though it is more than likely that they are not gonna do that. They are probably gonna do something dumber. That's just what I would do, which is not particularly great, mind you. My estimation would say that at the very end of January, most likely, honestly, February, somewhere early February, we're gonna get Phase 7. Now taking that average, that would suggest that we're gonna get January 30 as the date for Phase 7. I would say no, because they are stretching Phase 6 as much as they humanly can already. We are going from November 21 when the war effort starts to December 6. So I would probably, if I were being generous here, I would say they are probably gonna throw like 2 more weeks at it, at least 2 more weeks. And that of course would give you something like mid-February, late February, something like that. The 20th of February, that's gonna be my bet. Anyway, this rough guideline just gonna tell you that from Phase 7 Nax Ramas we're gonna get the new raid. If we get a new raid, and that new raid will be the end of SOD. There is no freaking way they do 2 tiers at this point. They are done. You cannot tell me they made the entirety of Phase 6 without any sort of new content, any semblance of new content whatsoever. The same with Phase 5, honestly. And you cannot tell me that they got any more gas in this project. They ran out of gas. At least in Phase 4, they were trying to make a new boss. The new boss was a flaming chicken nugget that made no sense lore-wise or any sense whatsoever, because why would you make a chicken nugget a boss at the end of Molten Core? But at least they were trying to make a new boss. They are not even pretending to try anymore. They are done. So I would say that after mid-February, we are gonna get the shutdown phase. And if we look at the shutdown phases, actually there's a lot of historical example here. March to August, November to March. we are looking at 5 months in maintenance mode. Now that hurts. That's gonna be really painful, and it's coming a lot sooner than you think. Now they might shut it down a little earlier because they are trying to get Classic Plus to go. That's something they might do. But my final prediction, and we're gonna look back on this, I know we're gonna look back on this, I think we got until April for the last patch of Season of Discovery. That will be, in my eyes, the day that Season of Discovery dies. And they are gonna make damn sure of it. Do you think I am too gloom and doom? Do you think I am being too generous? I just want people to talk to me, okay? Just drop something in the comments, okay? Subscribe, join the Discord, and thank you for watching.